Charles Bradley with ScrumCrazy.com. I'm also a Scrum.org professional Scrum trainer. And today what I'd like to talk about is the Scrum Value of Focus. So Scrum has 5 values, and one of them is focus. The important part about focus is that it's centering everyone's attention on a particular thing and providing clarity to whatever it is that activity is. So in Scrum, we sometimes support focus through mechanisms like, say, the sprint goal. The sprint goal has everyone focusing on sort of the same goal at the same time. And if you think about it, that sprint goal is also evaluated in the sprint review at the end of the sprint. In addition, you also have the team focusing on what they can do better in a retrospective. So the Scrum value presents itself in multiple places in the Scrum framework, either events, things like that. Another way to think about focus is that the sprint time box itself allows the team to focus on the same thing at the same time. And so in one way, we center focus by saying we're going to work on this very small amount of work for one sprint. But another way to think about focus is that if you look at the Scrum Guide, making changes to the sprint or changes to the scope of the sprint is somewhat difficult because no changes are allowed that could endanger the sprint goal. So in that way, it allows the team to focus on that small amount of work without having so many interruptions. That's not to say that teams don't get interrupted, because from time to time they do. But the sort of principle here is to allow the team to focus on a small batch of work and then allow the stakeholders and other people in the organization to focus on the results of that work at the end of a short sprint. If something is sort of causing the team to get off focus, I would expect that maybe that development team member would try to handle it themselves if they feel like it's safe enough to handle on their own. If it's not, they might report that to the Scrum Master and let the Scrum Master know that the team's focus is being pulled away. I think the other thing to remember is that focus kind of works hand in hand with some of the other values like courage. So the team needs to have the courage to say, hey, these things are taking us off focus, off message, if you will. And so they can work together to try to sort of deal with that obstacle, or in some cases it could become an impediment, in which case the Scrum Master might need to sort of communicate with those outside the team on how Scrum works to allow the team to focus during the sprint. I think it's important to remember that some of these Scrum values build on each other, things like courage, openness. So when you're a team member who's maybe causing the lack of focus on the team, it's important to be open with the team and be courageous and be willing to be, sort of transparent and honest with people about what's going on in your world, whatever that may be. Could be something that's inside the work that you're doing, so it could be something totally unrelated to the work that you're doing, things of that nature. But it is important as an individual to also exhibit those Scrum values.